So you're good at getting positive responses with your cold outreach, but you're terrible at actually getting booked meetings. Today's video, I'm going to be walking you through how to nurture a positive response to an actual booked appointment or a registration or an in-person appointment or whatever conversion mechanism that you're currently using to convert leads into sales, okay? So a conversion mechanism, for those that don't know, conversion mechanism is equals what you use to convert, oh crap, that's screwed up. I'm just gonna erase that. But a conversion mechanism is just what you use to convert leads into sales, okay? And that's the step one of a nurture process, is we have to know what our conversion mechanism is. Okay, and I'm gonna explain why here in a second, but real quick, if you guys don't know who I am, I'm Ryan Ogren. I'm the founder of Money Make Marketing, and in 2025, we generated $3.55 million in collected revenue for our clients. That means cash in their actual bank account through our campaigns, which makes us feel very good about ourselves, and they certainly paid us less than that amount of money. And we're not bitter about it. Our company is called Money Make Marketing because we're here to make them money. But it's just we're doing what we're supposed to be doing. And of all of our clients right now, everyone is profitable with us besides two. There's two of them that have closed accounts and they're just waiting for those accounts to mature. And then once they do mature a little bit further, they're going to be profitable. They're going to be extremely profitable. They're probably going to be some of our flagship accounts once they do turn into profitable accounts. We're good at what we do, and that's why I make these videos. These videos are service trust assets for us when we're nurturing our own prospects, and you're gonna learn that in this video. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so I already started off with number one is know what our conversion mechanism is, okay? So if we know where we're taking these leads, we have a positive response. If we know where we need to get them to, that's step one of your nurture process. Conversion mechanism is what converts, converts leads to sales or whatever action you want them to take, okay? So that's the very first thing. Once you know that, it's kind of like, okay, we now need to work through all the beliefs and everything that they've possibly going on in their lives so we can then get them to take those actions, okay? So this starts off with deep research. We usually start off everything with our deep research, but essentially what we want to know is deep research about all of their priorities, potentially like their day-to-day, and then all their dream outcomes. One of my mentors, he says problems, circumstances, and outcomes. I'm not crazy about that one just because like circumstances can mean a whole bunch of things. I like day-to-day because it tells them, day-to-day is very specific. It's like, what does this person's day-to-day look like? What are their obligations? Like what kind of decisions do they make during the day? I like that kind of way to describe it a little bit better. But there's a reason he is my mentor. He knows best usually. But deep research about all of their problems, priorities, day-to-day, dream outcomes, all that's given us the ammo to actually nurture these leads, okay? So then let's go into the next step. So once you have all those different nurture steps, and AI is really good. I personally really like to use Manus. I'll use Manus in agent mode and we'll do deep research. I'll probably spend like a couple thousand credits per deep research. And I'll just say, keep going deeper, keep going deeper. And if you're doing deep research on an entire target market, have it break down into sub niches and then do this. That just helps you categorize things a little bit better. And if you haven't watched that video about job titles and then company size, go watch that one. Maybe I can link it somehow. I'm still learning YouTube, as you guys can, if you're watching this video, my channel is not that big. Maybe I can link the video somehow in this. I don't know how to do that just yet, but we're learning. We're getting better at it, right? Once we've done our deep research, now we have to start to build our problem map. Sometimes I forget I have the eraser out. Problem map. So essentially what this is, maybe I should rename it. Maybe I should rename it to Nurture Map. Let's do that. We've been calling it Problem Map for our clients, but maybe let's just do a Nurture Map. Let me readjust this. Okay, so positive action we want to take, okay? And then what I like to have, this is another thing, problems, beliefs, objections, okay? So what I like to do is then nurture map this thing out. So they have all these different problems, beliefs, and objections and goals and day-to-day priorities happening. And I like to map out all these different things that kind of need to align for them to take the action that we want them to, okay? The very first thing is they need to have the belief that this is going to help them. Belief, I'll just say belief. They have to have the belief that this is going to help them. They have to have the trust that you are the person that can actually help them. And then they have to have the time. They have to actually have the time to prioritize this and value what you have to say. I'll do value as another one. Value as like the top of their priorities, but like time, sometimes they just don't have they literally don't have the bandwidth to do it. So let's say you're running outreach for a tax practice. And if you're doing a tax practice and you're reaching out to a bunch of business owners, like they most likely, like outside of tax season, they're going to be very busy and they're probably not going to give you the time of day. That's just how entrepreneurs usually are. Some guys will if you can actually invoke a little bit of urgency in there, but usually they don't value it until it becomes tax time. So that's just something to take into account, right? These 4 things are very valuable, and we need to get each positive response to feel those 4 things. And the way we actually do that is by talking about their problems, their day-to-day, their priorities, their objections. Okay. Now this is a lesson that I learned is someone might have an objection and you can handle it. Like you can create a piece of content around that objection and handle it flawlessly. It doesn't mean that they care. It doesn't mean that objection at this moment in time is the most valuable thing to them that they actually are going to give their attention to. So there is an order on these actual things, order things. Like I said, I'm getting better at YouTube. But so if you, for example, let me just bring that point home. If you, let's say you're walking outside and let's just say there's an airplane flying over and it's leaving a chemtrail. I don't know why I thought of this. Elon Musk brought up chemtrails one day and I like looked them up. I was like, wow, this is so strange. Every time I see a plane that has a chemtrail, I'm like, what the hell is that? And then I see a plane that doesn't. I'm like, what the hell's going on? Anyways, in that instance, I could have an objection like exactly what I just said. It's, wow, chemtrails, or a belief that, wow, chemtrails are bad for you. I'm like looking at it. But I could be walking to the bank because I need to go get financing to buy a house. So I look up, I'm like, wow, chemtrails, okay. And then I just refocus on going to the bank because the bank's more important to me right at that moment in time. So it's like I had the objection and then someone could come up to me in that instance and say, oh no, Ryan, chemtrails those are good. Like they're protecting the ozone layer or something like that. And I'd be like, oh, okay. And I would go to the bank anyways. Like it doesn't matter. So just by handling objections, you're not going to be able to nurture these leads properly. The biggest thing that you have to actually start with is like, why is this important to them? So it's actually the value. Everybody is in scanner mode until they are not. Okay. And so you already did the hard part. You already got them to actually get a positive response. So you already did this hard part, but then their attention wanes. I don't know if that's how you spell it, but like their attention drifts off. They say, sure, send it over. And then they go and do something else. And then you send over the lead magnet. Let me draw the lead magnet. That's the lead magnet. It's an upside down magnet. It looks pretty good, actually. Draw it like that. I made it worse. So then you send over the lead magnet and then they deem it valuable, like worth their time or not, or they don't have the time for it. Right. And so that's why it's so important to be hitting on value as hard as you possibly can, because we're trying to get them out of scanner mode. So the goal with the lead magnet is break scanner mode. Okay. So after we do that, after we get them out of scanner mode, after we know that there's value there, after they know that there's value, it really comes down to belief and trust. And so then we go into like trust assets and building them out. So a trust asset, this is something where it's you talking, it's maybe an authority figure, it's you explaining all the objections that they have probably, and like explaining them away. The way we combat this is with a proof page. If you're watching this, you maybe have seen it. If you haven't, if you're a client or you're a prospect or you're thinking of working with us, you probably have seen our proof page. If you're just a YouTuber, you have not. Our proof page has like our whole strategy, like screenshots of lead magnets, booked meetings off of that, closed deals off of that, email messages, all these different types of things that they could ever want to see about building trust with us. Also, there's videos on that page. We call them breakout videos. They're essentially just FAQs where, you know, I actually go through and answer questions that we normally get on sales calls or just frequently asked questions that you normally will see or get before someone becomes a client. And so we just answer those questions because we're all I'm busy. You're busy. Everyone else out there is busy. And we want to give as much information as we possibly can because the more that they consume, one, they start to become pre-framed so we can actually hit the ground running on that sales call and make use of that time. So that gets us further and that gets us further along in that relationship. Two, they start to get accustomed to our expectations. Three, they also get more familiar with me. Like they start to hear my words. They start to understand the way I view the world. They start to align themselves with that. And that's really what you want. You want them to spend as much time as possible. I just had a prospect come through our funnel, cold email, lead magnet, proof page. And she said she watched every single video on the proof page. Buyers, people that want to work with you, they will consume all the content that they can possibly get. I don't know if you've ever heard the old marketing adage where they say your sales page page, it needs to be as long as it takes to get them to buy. Old sales pages were like, they would scroll like all the way down, and they said buyers are readers. And so the buyers would actually read the whole entire thing. If they're interested enough to buy, they're interested enough to read. And so that's just essentially what it is. So we like to use that proof page. And once we do that, it's really just a matter of helping them know we know them. So this is also can go into value, but when we help them know that we know them, it like just builds a little bit more rapport. So that's why having that day to day is so important. So I know there's a lot of lines here, but when you have all that together, that's what actually books the call. Now, if you want to get down to the science, one of the things that has been very beneficial for us, instead of having this long drawn out nurture process for each of our clients, I want you guys to think through. This is the 2.0. This is the 2.0. What you just saw was the 1.0. This is the 2.0. Let me just erase this. So every time that you have to send another message to a prospect, there's a chance they don't. So what we started to do is cover all the lead magnets that we actually put together and everything that we put together in the nurture sequence. When it gets to being a lot, like 3 or 4 more messages where we can send 3 messages and we still have a ton more info we need to send, we just redo our lead magnet and we put all that information in the lead magnet. This is some sauce that nobody is going to tell you besides Ryan, okay? The reason being is if they consume it in the actual lead magnet, you already did more work up front than you would do on the back end. Now, you have to order it properly. You can actually just do if you're doing a video pitch, you can always just add stuff to the end of it. And that video pitch, they're going to continue to watch because you got them interested. And you got them interested enough to watch the video, watch the entire video. And then also, if you just add all the objections and everything in there as well, you start to cover a lot of ground while you have their attention. So that is a very useful tactic because typically people will take an action. There's like an action threshold. So there's like this, and then people need to get up to the action threshold where they need content and stuff to be able to make a decision. And then now they're able to make a decision. A lot of people, when you're nurturing them, they're like right here. And then every single time, it's like every time you send a message, you're like trying to get them closer, and finally they'll take an action. But if I have to do it like each time, my lead magnet really just wasn't that great. That's how I want you to think through it. We don't want to have to nurture our leads. We do because we're good marketers, we're good salespeople. We want to make sure that our acquisition system is proper, it's squared away, it's efficient, but we want to focus more on the lead magnet. That's where your leverage is. So better lead magnet equals more calls, okay? So here's an example of a better lead magnet adjustment, okay? So an X. We had I'll just think of, this is just recent booked call we did. This guy, we actually want him to become a client like very badly, very excited to potentially onboard this guy. Their business is a perfect fit for what we wanted. We like just based off his like online presence, with our online presence, it aligns, and I think we're gonna make a shit ton of money together. Now, I could be wrong. I have to meet with him tomorrow, but booked meeting. And the lead magnet that we sent, and we only sent a lead magnet. That was it. I knew that he was gonna watch it as soon as I sent it just based off the messaging. But the lead magnet that we sent, we created such a gap, what he's currently doing and where he could be going, that it was a no-brainer for him. It had to happen immediately where he books a call. That's the thing, okay? Lead magnet 1 is your offer. This is Daniel Fazio from Client Ascension. I love Daniel's stuff. I'm actually not in Client Ascension. I'm around it. I've never been in it. Maybe I will. I don't know. I've just never done it. But Daniel Fazio's got some good stuff about this, but he always talks about teaching the offer. And I get that, and like busy business people like that, but it doesn't really necessarily hit as hard as something where you can go like lead magnet 2, where you can start with what they are currently doing. You can use deep research to figure this out. So what are they currently doing for their, if it's for us, what are they currently doing for their marketing? What are they currently doing for their sales? If it's for one of our clients, like what are they currently doing for their like manufacturing, X, Y, and Z? What are they currently doing for their power generation? All this, that, and the other. And then we can go into our pitch. Because, and now if you're good in sales, if you're good in marketing, if you're in business, there's a reason why, right? You guys have a unique selling proposition. If we know what they're currently doing, we can pitch away from it. And when you create a big enough gap, that gap is what books calls without having to go through all that nurture. Okay, so that's a very important piece to this. I drew a lot of lines on this. It's pretty messy, but if you need to nurture, just make sure you go back to these principles, But the best nurture is no nurture, as I said. So I hope this video is good. My neck is killing me. I was surfing, and I think it was actually not even that cool. Like, I was surfing, and it wasn't like a wipeout or anything. It was actually, I was on waves. I was on my board, and I like looked, oh gosh, I got tiger balm all over it. If it's tiger balm, you know the smell. But I'm like surfing, and I'm like looking this way and this way to see who's on the wave, and my neck like just is so tight. I can't even sleep. I have such a bad headache, and my energy's down. But still hit our daily YouTube video. Still got everything done for our clients. Still closed another deal for $50K for one of our manufacturers that just sold a unit to a major institution. We've been waiting for that one for almost, I think, 6 months. So that's awesome. Good for them. They're further profitable with us, which is great. And yeah, so everything's good. And I'll get a good night's sleep tonight, and I'll hit it hard again tomorrow. So I hope you guys like this video. Subscribe, comment below. I'm Ryan Ogren. This is Money Make Marketing. See ya.